Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having a good day. It's Friday, May 1st. How about that? And, oh, sorry, I'm in the way of the, look at that. We'll move that over there. All right, hope everybody's having a good time. Like we're reviewing for the final. Now remember, okay, the final's 15% of your grade. You have to do the final. 15% of your grade. Here's a review sheet. If you do the review sheet, you're going to be able to do the final. The final's going to be on Thursday and Friday of next week. So what we'll do is, remember, this is for yesterday and today. We'll go over stuff yesterday and today. And then Monday, remember, no school on Monday. Well, we're going to do catch up all on your work. Make sure you turn stuff in. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll do some more review. We'll review Wednesday. And then Mr. Byrne and I are going to be on for Friday, on Thursday and Friday, just to help you out, see if anybody has any questions as you're putting through the final. And then we'll just post your grades. Okay, so let's see how we're doing. Okay, take a look. Okay, and remember, if you could do this, you could do the final. So really, really concentrate on what we're doing here and ask some questions. If you're following in YouTube, great. Ask some questions right now. If you're like, well, I'm gonna watch this later. Let's just pull up the chat. If you're gonna watch it later, that's good too. Watch it later and then send a message or something like that. I got the chat up, ready to see if anybody has any questions. Okay. So we got data here. And we want to make a scatter plot. Now remember what a scatter plot is. This is a long time ago because this is the final. Okay, so this is covering everything in the whole Harper course. So with the scatter plot, let's label. So we'll do minutes down here. We'll do minutes there. And then we'll do points here. And let's take a look at our minutes here. We're looking like it's from 0 to 10, right? So I'll make our vertical and horizontal. And we'll go 0 here. And then let's do a nice even space. Don't forget to 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. Do a nice evenly spaced. And then the vertical looks like the verticals we're looking like 43 is the lowest, so to 100. So let's just do a nice even space again. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Okay, now what is this the graph of? Their commute time and their level of well-being. So this is commute time is here, okay, it's in minutes, and well-being, what they count as their well-being points that way. So let's see what we got. If their commute time is small, they feel their well-being here is 90. So we'll put 3, 90. And there's another one, 3, notice, they're close together. Then we got 13, we'll put it right here, 13, 80. And 27 is about right here, 75. Remember, this is not lining up. This isn't linear, just a scatter plot. And then we got 30, 40, 50. So let's go 34. Just make your scatter plot 70. Maybe I'll do 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Let's label some of these. 70, 80, 90, 100. Let's just label a few of those. And 53, 66. And here's a 70, 90, 100. Then we have 72 over here, 55, so right around there. And do the best you can, 98 minutes, and it's a little down here. All right, so take a look at what this looks like. It looked like a kind of a downward pace right there. Okay, find the least square regression line, the line of best fit. Now, remember where that was. Okay, remember how we found that. We got it our calculator. Okay, we did our calculator, and we entered the data. Okay, refresh your memory on how we did that. Okay, stats, edit. We've done that before. Get your data in there. 3, 13, 27, 34, 53, 72, 77, 72. And one more. Just checking the questions. Yeah, if you've got a question, post a question. 90, 89, 80, 50, 75, 70, 66, 55, and 43. All right, there we go. We entered the data. Now, how do we find the least squared regression line? Okay, got to know how to do this. Now, remember, you could use your calculator. You're working at home. You could use your calculator, but follow along, and then you could just be pretty straightforward. Stats, calculate, and right there, linear regression, number 4. So remember, we'll just make a little note. Stats, one arrow over to calculate, and number 4 is the linear regression. That's the least squares regression line. Let's see what it says. We run it, and list 1, list 2, and we calculate, and there's our line. So we got, in this case, let's use the same letters. Okay, we have T and W. So W is y equals mx plus b, remember? So W is the y. And the slope, I got a negative, which makes sense because it's going down. Negative 471 T plus 88.8, and I'll round to 40. Okay? So what does it mean? What's the slope? The slope was negative. Okay, so let's talk about it as the minutes. What is, remember, change in y over change of x. Okay, so as your minutes change, that's your x. Okay, your well-being points go down. Okay, as your minutes go up. It's a negative correlation. Remember how that worked. As I'll put, let's try to make it sound nice. As your commute time goes up, your well-being score goes down. So what is this trying to sell you? This is trying to say, hey, well, let me put down, this is trying to say live closer to your work. Okay, so what if the commute time is 40? So that's, we just get our calculator, 0.471 times 40 plus 88.84. Okay, let's do it again. Negative 0.471 times 40 plus 88.84. Boop. And oh, look at that. Pretty nice number. Did I do that right? Yeah, really nice number is 70. My well-being score would be 70. And find the commute time if your well-being score is 50. So we're just going the other way now. The well-being score is 50. And we're going to solve for the commute time. Okay, now remember what we got to do. Pretty straightforward here. We take our 50, follow along in the calculator, minus 88.84. Hit enter. Don't forget to hit enter there. Divide by negative 0.471. And it looks like my commute time is going to be 82.46. It said round to 2 decimal places. All right, so take a look at that page. Here's the first example. We're talking a scatter plot and finding the linear regression. Remember, a lot of calculator work here. How does that look for you? Okay, post a comment or email Mr. Byrne or myself a question. Okay, ready? We're going to go on something different. Okay, now here's data. The 5-number summary. Again, it's really just review. And here's where you take some notes. So when you're taking your test, what was the 5-number summary again? The 5-number summary, where was it? So first of all, let me enter my data. Stat, edit. Oh, something's in list 1. So remember, you just hit clear, enter, and that clears out list 1. And then now this one is just one variable. So I'm just going to enter this all in here. I need 96, 100, 114, 121, 80, 126. Just enter that in there. I don't really care about list 2 because this is all under list 1 here. Now, where was the 5-number summary? See how the last one, remember the last one was under stats. Okay, stats, we went to calculate. Remember that from the last one? Stats, calculate, and we went down to 4. Well, this one is under stat, and then again, one arrow over to calculate. But this one is number 1. the one variable statistics. That's where everything was stored in there. So again, I'm going to run the one variable statistics, double check it's list 1. And we calculate, and let's see what we got. We got our minimum. Where was our minimum? There it is. Minimum was 70. And we got our Q1 right there. We're doing the, can you see that? We're doing the 5-number summary. Q1, 86.5. And the median was 90. Just read it through it. Q3, 10.5. And then the max, 126. Okay. And then we have to do a box plot. Now remember what the box plot was. The box plot was a nice scale right here. And I'm going from, let's go from 70. Make sure this spacing is the same. 100, 110, 120, 130. Okay, now remember what the box plot looked like. Okay, so we had 70 was a minimum, so put a line for 70. Q1, well, right here about 86. Median was 96. Q3 was over here at pretty close to 110. And the max was right here in the middle. Now remember how this looked. Box goes there. And the little whiskers here go there. There's our box plot. But remember, don't just put these numbers down here. That's a mistake that people make. This has to be just like a little table like anything else. Nice, evenly spaced right there. Okay, and what's the third quadrant? Or quartile, I'm sorry, third quartile. Third quartile is what percent? Okay, so we're saying about 75% of student, remember what the question is, use data of student weights. About 75% of students, weigh under 109.5. You see that? Remember that? Does that make sense? Everybody happy with that? All right. And then frequency table. Remember frequency. They're going 70 to, then we do 80 to 89, 90 to 99, 100 to 109, 110. Remember the units. These are just single. There's no decimals anywhere to be found in there. 120 to 126. All right, let's do our frequency. Remember, we just did little tick marks. Now, what we did in our classes, we just counted them first and then wrote them down. So I got a 105 tick mark. Oop, wrong spot. Sorry. 70 tick mark. Remember this? That's all we did. Here's another 70. We made little tick marks. 90, 91, 96, 100, 114, 121, 83. All right, so then the frequency was 2, 1, 4, 1, 1, 2. There was our frequency. That's just how many times that something occurs, how many times something's in that section. Okay, now a histogram. Now remember, what's the difference between a histogram and a bar chart or bar graph or something like that? Okay, the thing you have to remember is a histogram, they're connected. A histogram is good for numbers. Okay, so I'm going to start here, and I'm going to start with, remember we could do a little jump ahead. I'll start with 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, and then we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, let's go 5 just to keep it nice. Okay, so 70 to 79 right here. This has a 2, so I usually like just putting a line right there. This was a 1. Here was a 4. Let's go straight across. Here was a 1. Here was a 1 again. And here was a 2. That's my first step. And then my next is just to, remember they got to be connected. Just make my lines. Okay. There's the calculator. That's a histogram. Remember, they got to be touching each other. That was a key. And let's go back to our summary because D says find the median. Remember, median was average. I'm sorry, it's mean. Find the mean and the standard deviation. Now, which one number was the mean? The mean was X bar. Okay, so the mean is 96.83. And the standard deviation, our standard deviation was the S. Okay, oops, sorry. S. S was the standard deviation. So 17.8. Standard deviation 17.8. Again. Oh, hey, buddy. Hey, look who's here. We're doing some math problems here. What do you think?
I just wanted to see what you were doing.
Oh, yeah, we're just doing some math problems for everybody. Say hi.
Hi.
Hi. So I'll be up in a little bit. Okay. He's got to go to school too. All right. So take a look. Remember, if you have a question, contact Mr. Byrne, send a message to myself, send a message to Mr. Byrne. We'll just see if you forget where something was in the calculator. Remember, you could always pause the video, and try to do it on your calculator first. All right. This one was a little more recent. Okay, this was exponential functions. Okay, now remember exponential. It swoosh, the swoosh up. Okay, make a data. Okay, so first of all, we find a couple pieces of data. I'll start with 0, 2, and then I got 1, here comes where I need the glasses here. 1, oops, sorry. I'm going to go get my glasses. 1 second. Gotta get the glasses. Mr. Nose Old. Where did I put my glasses? Here they are. All right. 1, what do we got? That's better. 1, 8. I was going to say 1, 6. Okay. So how did it go up? Now remember exponential growth. Exponential growth is not adding or subtracting. This went times 6. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Times 4. I said times and I added. Times 4. The exponential growth was times 4. So that's how we keep going up. Times another 4. Well, 32. Times another 4. Remember, exponential growth is multiplying and dividing. Times another 4. Ooh, what's that? Just use your calculator. 128. You see that? Just keep multiplying by 4. Write an equation. All right, remember the parts of the equation. A is the y-intercept. B is the growth, or decay. In this case, it's growth because it's going up. The y-intercept is 2. And right here, there's our growth is 4. So our function is 2 times 4 to the x. You see that? Now that, again, different than slope. Y equals mx plus b is what we've been studying. This is growth. Still has a y-intercept, but it's times, not adding or subtracting like lines. Okay, so now let's read the table. F of 0, remember, if it's inside the parentheses, that's the x. Inside the parentheses, the x is 1. But outside the parentheses, that's the y. The y is 8. What's the x? 1. The y is 32. What's the x? 2. Remember how we fill in those charts? We've been doing that all year also. So refresh your memory on that. Like I said, if you're good on this review, you're good on the final. Let's keep going. Feel okay there? All right, let's try it again. Fill in the table. Now, of course, we could use our calculator. Okay, but let's, I'm just trying to pull the data. Oh, look, 0. That's the y-intercept. So there's 27. Now let's see how we move. Okay, if I plug in 1, let's use my calculator, 27 times parentheses, do it exactly like you see it, 1/3 to the first, it says 9. Is that? 9. So since these are exponential, look what happens. Divide by 3. You see that? It's about finding the rate of change. So I'm going to divide by 3 again. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 1 divided by 3 is 1/3. You see, as I keep going this way, I just keep dividing by 3. Dividing by 3. So what about the other way? Going this way then, times 3, just the opposite, times 3. So I multiply by 3, 81. Multiply by 3 again, 243. You see that? And let's go under here. Let's hold that for a second. 7. Oh, what's 7 going to be? We could keep working our way down through here. You see that? We could keep working our way and just take, this is for 4, was 1/3. That was 4. Divide by 3 again is 5. Divide by 3 again is 6. Divide by 3 again is 7. You see that? And then remember we did math fraction. 1/81. If we want to continue the table. Or we could have just gone back here to the function. 27 times parentheses. Don't forget those parentheses. 1/3 to the 7. And, oh, math fraction. Still got the same answer. Doesn't matter. All right, refresh your memory. What does this mean? Okay, this means the inverse. That's the inverse function. And what happens? You switch the x's and the y's. So now the x is 243, 81, 27, 9, 3, 1, 1/3, and then -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. You see what I mean? Switch the x's and y's. So, what do we got? The inverse at 20 is -2. That's all it means. Switch the x's and y's. What type of function does the data in part B represent? And like we said, the inverse function. And remember some of the rules of inverse functions. Okay, switch the x's and y's, and then when you plug one function in the other, they cancel each other out. That's the whole idea of inverses. For an inverse, they cancel. So for plus, the inverse of plus is minus. The inverse of multiply is divide. Okay, those are inverses of each other. How's that? Any comments? Just checking on, seeing how people are doing. All right, let's do a little problem. We'll move from exponential. Remember, we're just reviewing. Let's move from an exponential to the last sheet here, and let's do a quadratic. Okay, we did some pretty good review of data, good review of exponential. Now let's review a quadratic. Here's our function. Does this graph have a maximum or minimum point? Now, of course, what I could do on my calculator or, the computer is just type it in. Y equals, a lot of stuff in here. Let's clear all that stuff out. And we get -2x squared. Remember, it says t, but don't try to look for a t. Just plug in what you see. Plug in x. X is good. X is the equation. And remember, don't hit graph right away. Let's try to interpret. Let's try to see what's going on. Okay, when I hit 0, it looks like it's going to be pretty negative. So if you just hit graph right away, I can't see anything, and you get really confused. Check your window out. Okay, let's find some important things. I'm going to go from -10 to +10. And just make your scale, -10 to +10. Let's see what that does. -1, -10 to +10. Let's see if I see any part of the graph there. And nope, didn't see it. So zoom out. And let's see if we see some of the graph now. Oh, look all the way down there. So that's going to help me. Now, remember what we also could do, you just hit trace. When you hit trace, you could see some values. You see, when I hit trace, I got -64. So I know my y, back to my window, my y is definitely going past -64, so I'm going to make it -100. X max, it was all on the bottom, so I'm just make the max 0. And then I'm going to try from -10 to +10 again, and let's see what that looks like. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, look, a lot better picture. You see that? All right, so let's do it mathematically now. We got the graph. We know what it looks like. Does this graph have a maximum or minimum? Now, how do we tell? Refresh your memory. When the x squared, when a, -2, b, 20, c, -64, those are the key numbers. When A is negative, it opens down. So A negative is down, positive is up. So if this opens down, this has to have a maximum, right? Opens down, has a maximum right there. Okay, so find the coordinate of the vertex. And we could do it by hand. Remember, we had a formula for the vertex, minus b over 2a. That was the formula for the x value. The x value of the vertex minus b over 2a, and then we plug it in to find the y value. So in this case, negative 20 over 2 times negative 2. So I got negative 20 over negative 4, which is 5. And then I get my calculator out, and back to, I plug in 5, negative 2, parentheses. Remember, when you plug stuff in, always in parentheses. 5 squared plus 20, parentheses 5, minus, and I got negative 14. You see that? So I got negative 5. I'll put in 5 comma negative 14. Okay, now let's just refresh our memory again. If you want to do it on the calculator, remember the programs, you go to second calc, right here, trace calc, and find you got to decide if it's a maximum or minimum. This is a maximum. And you know it's right over there, so just be on the left side. You see where it says left bound? Just be on the left side. And then go over this side and be on the right side. And then take a guess as best you can. Somewhere on there. And, oh look, no, don't forget that. That's 5. 5 comma negative 14. I think it's a lot faster to use the formula. This is the x, and then plug in 5 to get the y. Plug that 5 into the equation. And what does this mean now? Let's interpret this. Okay, a baseball player throws a ball into the air. Okay, so t is the time, and h is the height of the ball. Everybody see that? Okay, so what is the height of the ball at the vertex? Okay, and it's negative 14. Negative 14 didn't give units, so we'll just say negative 14 feet, whatever, from where he was. And, okay, that's the top height of the ball right there. And then how long is the ball in the air? All right, what's that asking about? How long the ball's in the air is when the ball hits the ground. I don't like this equation. Did I enter something wrong? Because now it's looking like it's below ground. Take a look at my graph right there. It looks like it's below ground. I'll take a look at that, but let's just try to find it. Okay, how long is the ball in the air? Well, take a look. The ball never touches the air. That's what made me think something's wrong with this equation. Okay, and so why don't we? I'll come up with a better equation since this is the last sheet. Okay, remember we use the formula just to review. What we're going for is the quadratic formula. But this one would not give us anything. Minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac. Remember that? All over 2a. Remember the quadratic formula? That tells us the zeros. But I'll come up with a better equation for us next time. Remember, we're going to be reviewing next Tuesday and Wednesday. I'll come up with a better equation for this one because it never crosses the x-axis right there. So that's going to produce an imaginary number and negative numbers. We don't want to deal with that. Okay? So, we did a lot of stuff today. Let's just refresh it one more time. Here's all you have to do to do well in the final. Scatter plots. Remember where this was. Stat, calc, and number 4. Get you your equation. And then you could plug stuff in. You were pretty good with that. And then the single variable, this is a long time ago. The single variable, again, stat, calc, number 1 is where all the single variable stuff is. And then you can make your frequency and your histograms out. And remember, all this stuff, all the data is in that stat, calc, number 1. Okay, and then exponential, which we were just doing last week. That was pretty good. remember inverses we did last week also. Switch the x's and y's. And then we'll try to make an equation here and see how that looks. Okay? All right. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. Remember, send an email to Mr. Burns, send an email to myself. If you're stuck on something as you're working through this, the answers are posted on Schoology. So you should be doing pretty well with this. But, of course, never hurts to ask. Always ask a question. Okay? All right. Everybody have a good day.